Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes so sweet and sexy. Have fun, enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions and lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. Is a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Stack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Meshegas. Ridiculousness that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes are sweet and sassy. And not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Hello. Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me this evening for a little while. Today is Monday, November 18th of 2024. It is 6:30 p.m. here in New York. Do you know where your children are? Before we get started, I just want to give a very special happy birthday to a very special girl. One of our mods in training, Alex, is 6 today, and it's her birthday. So everyone give Alex a big, huge happy birthday. We love you, Alex. You're amazing. And I hope you have the most amazing 6th birthday ever. And I'm sure you will. Well, my friends, as Daniel Penny is undergoing trial in Lower Manhattan today, as his trial continues, 2 men will not be going home tonight. A 36-year-old construction worker and a 68-year-old man who was fishing over by the old water club on the east side of Manhattan around 30th Street and the FDR Drive, because both of them were stabbed to death by a knife-wielding homeless person with mental health issues, cashless bail, all of it. And another woman, a 36-year-old woman, is fighting for her life at Cornell Medical Center tonight. 36 years old. She was stabbed by this same perpetrator, this alleged perpetrator, at 46th Street near the UN. There's a witness. I've got a press conference to play for you. I'm a little bit spun by this whole thing today. I've been following it since early this morning. And where is a Daniel Penny when you need him? Right? Were there people that could have stepped in as good Samaritans to help these people who were killed, and a third who's fighting for her life? And they're thinking to themselves, oh, yeah, I know what happened to the last guy that tried to step in and save somebody. Yeah, he's on trial down at 100 Center Street, facing 15 years in prison. The 24-year-old Marine, Daniel Penny, who stepped in to save people on a subway car from a very erratic homeless man who also had mental health issues and a long rap sheet and was on synthetic marijuana. So there's that. We do need more Daniel Pennies. And this is the problem. This is the problem. And if nothing else comes from this horrific incident today, maybe, just maybe, a couple of jurors are going to hear this story on their way home and say to themselves, holy duck. If Daniel Penny was around when these people were getting stabbed, maybe they would still be alive. Yeah, I'm going to say it. I'm outraged by this. I am outraged by this. So for those of you who haven't heard the story, I'm going to catch you up a little bit, and Also, for those of you who choose to join me tonight, I'm going to try and keep you away from the other drama that's going on in the other case that we're covering, because I refuse to get involved in that. So I need to find something else to talk about tonight. And this is it. So it started early this morning at about, and they've actually just released the name of the perpetrator. So we'll get into that as well. But since I had been following this morning, they were not releasing his name. They also have not released the names of the victims yet, pending notification. But it's a tragic story that unfolded this morning at around 8:22 a.m. when the first victim was stabbed several times at a construction site where he was working on 19th Street. I don't know why the Post keeps changing their text, but he was killed around 19th Street near 10th Avenue. Died later at Bellevue Hospital. There was a witness who was 10 feet away, and I think she had she was a woman pushing a stroller 10 feet away. Alerted a doorman to the stabbing. The doorman spoke to the New York Post and told the Post that he just missed seeing the suspect run off. The woman was hysterical. She had a little kid in her stroller. A blood-stained blue towel remained on the sidewalk where the victim collapsed hours after the senseless attack took place. That was around 8:22 this morning. And then around 2 hours later, the same perpetrator found himself all the way on the east side of Manhattan, down by where this Asian man was fishing around 30th Street near the FDR Drive, 68-year-old man. He was stabbed several times by the same assailant before running off. That victim was also taken to Bellevue Hospital, where he too succumbed to his injuries, according to police chief, or the chief of detectives. I believe his name is Kenny. Scott, you know Joe Kenny? We're going to watch a press conference, so we will see. I believe it's Joe Kenny. The third victim was attacked about a half an hour later at East 42nd and 1st Avenue near the UN building. 36-year-old Black woman who was stabbed multiple times in full view of several witnesses. According to the New York Post, a pool of blood and gore remained on the ground after the stabbing. An ambulance rushed the 36-year-old woman to Weill Cornell Medical Center, where while several Good Samaritans contacted the cops, according to the police. We're going to see the witness who I believe witnessed the woman's attack. There was also a British tourist and UN diplomatic security personnel who witnessed the third stabbing. And they helped track down the suspect, who was then arrested a couple of blocks away. With regard to the third attack, there was a cab driver who stopped. He thought it was a robbery or a burglary, because he saw the man running with a purse. So he, I think he kind of chased after the perp, and he was eventually apprehended around 46th Street and 1st Avenue near the Turkish mission to the UN. Let's take a look at some pictures that were in the Post. Then we're going to take a look at the press conference from earlier today. And then I have a news piece to show you where they finally released the name, but I've got the pictures, so we're going to take a look. This here is the scene near FDR Drive and 30th Street. This would have been the second stabbing, the man who was fishing. Here it is. The suspect fatally stabbed a man in his 60s multiple times at East 30th Street. I was just fishing. 10:30 in the morning. Beautiful day, as you can see in Manhattan today. And here you see the weapons and a bloody towel. We photograph evidence here in New York, folks. We actually photograph evidence, at least the police do. NYPD investigation may be a little bit different than the Canton PD investigations that you may be used to. Here's part of the scene. This was the scene at 42nd and 1st. That was the third scene. Here is the person of interest who has since been, he's now in custody. His name is Ramon Rivera. He is, as I like to say now, undomiciled. Undomiciled, mentally ill, long rap sheet, the last of which he was arrested for a month ago. Grand larceny charges, but you know, apparently bail is not a thing here. There's some other reports that say he may have just been released from Rikers a little while ago. And he was a resident at the Bellevue homeless shelter, which has a long history that I'm going to tell you about. This is the perp, the alleged perp, Ramon Rivera, 51 years old. Police here also did their due diligence and found some surveillance footage of the perp walking down. Doesn't say what street. And then here's the murder weapon. Apparently he had two different knives. This is the one that was used at 46th and 1st. Here, for those of you who are not familiar with the layout of Manhattan, I can make this a little bit bigger for you. So to the top of your screen or to the left of your screen, this is the west side of Manhattan, and to the left across the river, that's the Hudson River. That is New Jersey. So the first stabbing, the first killing, the first murder took place at West 19th. Oh, they're saying 8th Avenue. There are some reports that say it was around 10th Avenue. That was the construction site. And then about 2 hours later, the perp traveled all the way over here to the east side of Manhattan on the right side of your screen, where he took the life of the 68-year-old guy who was just out fishing over here on the East River to the right of your screen. Then he traveled up, looks like probably traveled up First Avenue, where he came upon his third victim, a 36-year-old woman who is currently fighting for her life in Weill Cornell Medical Center. And yet, you're going to hear Eric Adams thank people, thanking the Good Samaritans for stepping in. And yet, Daniel Penny is facing a 15-year sentence for stepping in. And what's the difference with Daniel Penny? Well, Jordan Neely didn't have a knife on him, I guess. I guess that's the difference. But what if he did? What if he did? Are you supposed to wait to see a weapon before you take action? Are you supposed to just wait and see if the crazy person touches someone first before you take action? It's insane to me, but here we are. Here we are. Two men are not going home to their families tonight. Let's take a look at the press conference. This was from 4 hours ago. It's like, pick one. Pick one. You want people to step in and help, or you want people to get killed? What do you want to do here? What is it that you say you do here? Sorry, I'm a little upset by this. All right, here we go. This is from, this is about 4 hours ago, this press conference. I was going to go live with it with the breaking news, but I had to do some mommy things today, so I wasn't able to. So it's actually okay because some more stuff broke since then, like the identity of this perp. Here's our mayor, New York City Mayor Eric Adams.
And today we have 3 innocent New Yorkers who's going about their lives with a victim of a terrible, terrible assault. 2 lost their lives. 1 is fighting for her life. It is a clear example of the criminal justice system and mental health system that continues to fail New Yorkers. And it is troubling that we're standing here today in a day that brings a great level of difficulty and pain to the city. 3 New Yorkers, unprovoked attacks that left us searching for answers on how something like this could happen. But I want to thank the everyday New Yorker who notified Officer Garvey and told him what he observed when he.
You want to thank the everyday New Yorker? How about the everyday New Yorker, the Marine who stepped in to save a subway car full of people from something that could have happened like this? But you want to thank the Good Samaritan. Well, good on you. Like Scott just said. Scott, one of my amazing moderators, 25 years on the job with NYPD in transit. He's probably going to be in jail by this time. He's probably going to be in silver bracelets pretty soon. So there's that.
Saw the assault. He followed the individual involved and gave the information to Officer Garvey, who took quick action and was able to apprehend the person who we believe is a suspect. This investigation is going to continue to unfold, and we want New Yorkers to know that we are not looking for any additional suspects at this time. We believe we have someone in custody, and we are not looking for any additional suspects. Our hearts goes out to the families, goes out to other New Yorkers who observed such a terrible action, and we will keep them in our prayer. But again, I want to thank that New Yorker who saw something, who did something.
Oh.
And because of that, I believe because of the quick actions of Officer Garvey, we have saved the.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy behind him going like this. See something, say something. Just don't do anything to try and help anybody. Because, if something goes wrong, and quite frankly, Daniel Penny wasn't using deadly force. Okay. Daniel Penny didn't pull out a gun and shoot the guy. Daniel Penny didn't pull out a knife and stab the guy like that other guy in Brooklyn that we saw whose charges were dropped because, different DA. Thanks, Alvin Bragg. We want to thank him, but, don't do anything about it. Just, say something. Watch this guy right here to the left. Scott, I'm not sure if you know who that is. Maybe he's going to talk. Watch what he does while Adams is saying this.
I believe because of the quick actions of Officer Garvey, we have saved the lives of other New Yorkers who could have been the victim of this assault. We'll now turn it over to Interim Police Commissioner Tom Dolan, and then our Chief of Detectives will give you a preliminary and up-to-date on the investigation, what we have thus far.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the NYPD, I wanted to express our deepest sympathy to the 3 people attacked this morning. The senseless violence should never happen.
Yeah.
But I want to thank Officer Garvey for his proactive approach to policing, and that is what we stress. We have reactive, but also proactive. And Officer Garvey represents what we've been telling the officers for many, many, many years. But through the swift work of the NYPD officers, this attacker is in custody right now. At this time, there are no other outstanding suspects. I want to thank our 17th and 10th Precinct Patrol officers for their quick and effective response to these incidents, and the detective squads of both commands for what will become a complete and thorough investigation. I also want to thank the members of the public who called 911 and who jumped into action to help their fellow New Yorkers. And finally,
but don't jump into action to help your fellow New Yorkers by trying to restrain the guy or anything until the police get there when you're in between stops of the subway. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just jump in to help by, calling the phone and watch while the person gets stabbed. Okay, this is the message that New York City is sending its residents and citizens. Don't do that. Just pick up the phone and call, and we'll try and get there as soon as we can. Because remember what happened in Daniel Penny's case, because we've been going over this case. From the time they even got to the next subway station at Broadway and Lafayette, it took 7 minutes for the first responders to get there. Okay? 7 minutes. Michael, this is exactly what I said. You must be a little bit late because you're reading my mind or I'm reading yours. Hope the jury members of Daniel Penny see this and realize that it could have been a scene on the subway if Penny had not stepped in. That is exactly what I'm saying.
Thank you to Mayor Adams for his ongoing public support. The mayor is here with us today because he truly cares about the people in New York City, and he understands that public safety is the foundation of everything we do here. Now, we are just beginning to sort through the violence this morning, but New Yorkers should know the NYPD will always be there with our city, and we will continue to fight for safety and security of every New Yorker. For some additional details on these incidents, I'll turn it over to Chief of Detectives, Joe Kenny. Thank you.
This is Joe Kenny. He's the the Chief of Detectives of the NYPD. Adams. Grace.
Good afternoon. The information I'm about to give to you is preliminary, as our investigation is still ongoing. I'm going to discuss the 3 stabbing incidents that occurred this morning in the 10th, 13th, 17th precincts here in Manhattan. These random attacks left 2 innocent victims dead and another one fighting for her life. I will not be releasing the victims' names at this time. We're still waiting to notify their families. We do have a suspect in custody, and we are not looking for any other perpetrators at this time. Incident number 1 occurs in the confines of the 10th precinct. Today, at 8:22 a.m. in front of 444 West 19th Street. Our victim is a male Hispanic, 36 years old. He's standing in front of a construction site where he is employed, when without warning, he is stabbed in the abdomen. The assault appears to be unprovoked at this time. The perpetrator fled southbound on 9th Avenue. Our victim was removed to Bellevue Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 8:50 in the morning. Witnesses stated that the perpetrator was a male, light-skinned, in his 60s with a beard. He was wearing a gray shirt and a dark-colored ski hat. Witnesses described the knife as a kitchen knife. Approximately 2 hours later, incident number 2 occurs at 10:27 a.m. at 500 East 30th Street and the East River by the Old Water Club. A male, Asian, 60.
I like how they said the Old Water Club, which was an amazing, amazing restaurant I've been to many, many, many times. Anybody who remembers the Water Club? Sometimes I got to break this up because it just upsets me too much. I'm gonna pop a vein or something. I'm gonna stroke out here. This is so outrageous.
8 years old, who was fishing at the time of the attack, was stabbed multiple times throughout the body. A 911 caller rings the bell and police respond to the location. Unfortunately, our victim is removed to Bellevue Hospital, where he's pronounced dead. 30 minutes later, after this incident, our third and final attack occurs at 10:55 a.m. at 42nd Street and 1st Avenue, right by the UN. Our third victim is described as a female black, 36 years old. She's stabbed multiple times throughout her body. She is brought to Cornell Medical Center, where she is currently in critical condition. A short time later, at 46th Street and 1st Avenue, near the Turkish Mission to the UN, police at the scene are alerted by a witness that a possible perpetrator who had just committed a robbery was walking in the area. This male was taken into custody by 17 Precinct Patrol. They recovered 2 large kitchen knives that are covered in blood. His clothing is also covered in blood. This person of interest was brought back to the 10th Precinct Station House for processing. He's a male Hispanic, 51 years old. He appears to be undomiciled. He has 8 prior arrests.
Undomiciled, because that's the politically correct way of saying homeless nowadays. You can't say homeless anymore. Guess you can't say homeless anymore. You got a big homeless problem in New York, but we're undomiciled is what we're going with here. This is politically correct.
Being for a grand larceny October of this year.
Oh, sorry. I just that kind of broke up, but he was arrested for a grand larceny in October of this year, meaning what's today? What did I say the date is today? it's the 18th of November. So just, maybe 18 days ago, he was arrested for a felony grand larceny charge, but here he was today out on the streets, stabbing 3, killing 2. Hold on. You got to hear that again.
Years old. He appears to be undomiciled. He has 8 prior arrests, last being for a grand larceny October of this year. Thank you.
All right. Obviously, we still got a lot of work to do with this, but it takes just a couple of questions. I'll start here on the left. Joe.
Chief, do we have any information as to were words exchanged prior to these interactions?
Okay, I'm going to repeat the questions because they can be very hard to hear. This reporter says, Chief, my freeze game is on point. Do we have any information as far as whether any words were exchanged prior to these attacks?
These 3 individuals.
As of right now, these attacks seem to be unprovoked, that he just walked up to them and began to attack them with the knives.
Chief, is it clear, maybe read to yourself, may you elaborate on the failed system? What went wrong here? Was he out on bail, on a bail eligible?
Chief, either you or the mayor, maybe you could elaborate with regard to the failed system. Was he out on bail or what?
Case or non-bail eligible case?
First, I want to acknowledge the presence of Councilman Powers and Councilman.
Oh, yeah. Let's divert and let's just acknowledge the presence of the 2 councilmen who are here today with us at our press conference. I don't want to talk about our failed bail system or the fact that this guy with 8 priors, just in New York, by the way, because he's got a lot of other outstanding warrants in other states that we'll get to, like New Jersey, right across the river there. Let's take a moment before I address that to, shout out the councilman who showed up here today at our presser. Are you kidding me? Scott, I don't know what, Scott, you're texting me something about a car accident. I don't know what you're talking about.
Eligible case or non-bail eligible case?
First, I want to acknowledge the presence of Councilman Powers and Councilman Boucher. These both impact their areas. We're still looking over his record, but there's a real question on why he was on the street.
Oh,
it's preliminary now, but he was sentenced.
Real question about why he was on the street. Yeah. But, we don't want guys like Daniel Penny stepping in trying to help their fellow New Yorker. Because our mayor can't even tell us what. There's a real question about why this guy was out on the street. Yeah. We got questions too, Mayor.
A few months ago. And there's some real questions that we need to look at on why he was on the street. And he has some severe mental health issues.
Let's blame it on that.
That should have been examined, and that's what we're looking at as part of the investigation. ABC?
How about this? Go call your buddy Alvin Bragg and tell him to drop those charges against Daniel Penny right now, and then refund him every single penny that he's had to pay his lawyers. His legal defense fund has raised over $3 million. The medical examiner is on the stand today for cross-examination, and I know I need to catch you up on this case, but this is the perfect time. Drop the charges against Daniel Penny. That's what people should be doing out there tomorrow, protesting outside 100 Center Street in Manhattan.
Going to the witness, you mentioned that you saw something and what he told Officer Garvey. Is it Garvey?
What can you tell us about the witness that said something to Officer Garvey? Is that what you're saying? That's what the reporter just said.
Yeah, so the witness is a cab driver. He witnesses the third attack of the female. He believed it to be a robbery. He didn't know that she was stabbed. So he began to follow her, thinking that he was a robbery suspect.
The cab driver?
The cab driver, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the purple backpack that's at 46th and 1st, is that the victim's backpack? Is that why?
That's good.
And the purple backpack that's at 46th and 1st, was that the victim's backpack?
Part of our investigation.
Tinta?
Can you talk about when Officer Garvey stepped in?
Can you talk about when Officer Garvey stepped in?
What was the question again?
Just when you started noticing something unusual and stepped in.
I just heard a commotion.
This is Officer Garvey. Props to Officer Garvey. And she said, well, can you tell us about what you saw and what caused you to step in?
From where I was, Stepped outside, heard what people were saying, and reacted.
What were people saying?
Yeah, please no comment on that.
I think she said, "What did people say?" Well, thank you, Officer Garvey, for your service, and I do mean that genuinely. I know I'm coming off as a bit of a crazy person right now, but I mean that in the truest sense of thank you for your service, because these NYPD officers risk their lives for us every single day, and it is a job that certainly doesn't pay as much as Canton PD or Suffolk County PD, and their jobs are far more dangerous.
Yeah, please no comment on that.
I got to hear that question again. Sorry.
And reacted.
What were people saying?
What did people say is what she's asking, and he won't comment.
Yeah, please no comment on that.
Chief, were there any robbery attempts on any of the victims at all?
No, like it was.
Chief, were there any robbery attempts on any of the victims at all? Thank you, Jean Marie, for validating me. And you have an RN after your name, so I'm gonna trust your judgment on that.
Like I said, we're sorting through additional witness statements and video, but at this time, no words exchanged, no property taken, just attacked and stabbed viciously.
Well,
Yeah, Officer Garvey, if you could walk us through what happened.
no, let the chief walk you through.
Officer, what he did, how he.
Once he was
We want to know what Officer Garvey did. What did he do? And that just reminded me of a Dave Matthews lyric that goes a little something like, "No words exchanged, no time to exchange them."
He was alerted that this perpetrator was possibly involved in a crime, thinking that maybe it was a robbery. He detained him. And obviously at this point, information's coming over the radio. The detective squad gets involved. We start putting the pieces together to realize it's part of the three attacks that had taken place that morning.
Did the suspect say anything?
Oh my God. And I think that we cannot overemphasize. Here, this officer made an apprehension of a person that took the life of two individuals, and he didn't know what he had. He responded. And we cannot overemphasize how much when these officers come to the scene of a crime or someone tells them that someone carried out a violent act, these officers respond to that act. And, it just goes to show you after 19 years of service, there's still a commitment to ensure that the people of this city are safe. And when you don't know what you are responding to, you have an individual who had those weapons, and this officer put himself in harm's way to make sure he could stop others from being harmed. If Officer Garvey was not there, these random acts of violence, this person conceivably would have continued those random acts of violence. So he saved the lives of fellow New Yorkers.
Okay, but somebody walks onto a subway car. I'm sorry, I got to keep going back to this because this is what I do. Somebody walks onto a subway car and starts threatening random acts of violence. Like if somebody doesn't give me some food or some money, I'm going to start killing people. And I don't care if I go back to Rikers. I don't care if I go to jail today. I don't care. So if somebody comes onto a subway car that is moving where people cannot escape from and starts threatening that stuff, you and your buddy Alvin Bragg are going to charge that guy with manslaughter, and you're going to try him right down the street at 100 Center Street, where he is currently on trial, Daniel Penny, facing 15 years in prison. Okay. Where do we draw the line here, Mayor?
Did the suspect say anything in regards to any statements when he was arrested, or do you have any idea what his motivations might have been?
So did the suspect say anything when he was arrested? Do you have any idea about what his motivations are?
Not at this time.
James.
Thank you. Just can you say the last stabbing was by the UN. There was a line of diplomatic vehicles, maybe overpaid. Can you talk to me more about
The last stabbing was over by the UN. There was a line of diplomatic vehicles parked over there.
the Secret Service's involvement in this situation?
Can you tell us if there was any Secret Service involvement in this situation?
I can't speak for another agency. I can just speak to what the NYPD did in this case. I know there were other people out on the scene that assisted, but at this time, I can't speak to what the Secret Service may have done.
Are any of the victims dignitaries at this time? Do we know?
Are any of the victims dignitaries at this time? Do we know? Remember, this was earlier today, right? As this story was breaking.
Oh, that is it.
They are not.
All right, last question.
The last two places where the attacks happened are pretty close, and you have evidence that he walked. Do we know how he got from 19th Street over? And also, was he just walking the knives out, or did he conceal them and pull them out?
Was he just walking with the knives out? Knives Out, wasn't that a movie recently? Or was he concealing them? And how do we know how he got all the way over to the east side from the west side after stabbing the guy?
From the video that we see as of right now, we have video of him with the knives out. But as at this point, our investigation is preliminary. It appears that he was traveling by foot.
All right.
Knives out, just walking down New York City Street from the west side to the east side. No big whoop. Knives out, full of blood, bloody guy. But people in New York are too afraid to get involved now, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Good evening.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We're going to get to Maurice Dubois and Christine Johnson in a moment. But before we do that, let's get back to the chat. I'm outraged. Can you tell I'm outraged? I'm outraged. Private info, I don't even know what to say. Thank you for your very generous $100. Who says this is such BS. It's disgusting. A god duck Marine who risked himself is on trial, but these political hacks are spewing this BS. It's just making me sick. Me too. Yeah, well, everyone in New York, these random acts of violence, if you guys didn't see something and say something, these random acts of violence are just going to keep happening. That is literally exactly what he just said, almost verbatim. Thank you so much for your generous support to the channel. And a squirrel said, I'm sending you a super chat, but I have no words. So thank you. I think it's a squirrel. And then for the next 10 who says 7 minutes, serious, feels like Norfolk, Mass. Is Marcy near you? I hope not. I certainly hope not. Thank you, Loudmouse, for the 10. I'm glad to have channels where I can be blunt and gripe about things, but also glad to have you where I know it's going to be drama free. I really appreciate that right now. Free Karen Read has been rough lately. That's what I hear. I unplugged for the weekend to go out to Colorado, visit one of my girls, saw the Buffs kick some Utah butt, and it was glorious. It was a beautiful day in Boulder. It is the best view in college football. Prove me wrong. The big noon kickoff was set up on campus, or whatever they call it. The big noon, I think it's called the big noon kickoff, the show, TV show. They were set up there. We had great seats. We were like in the 8th row from the field, and it was unbelievable. I got my Travis Hunter jersey. Thank you to Maureen Francis, by the way, who sent me a very generous cash app after the stream the other day. Thank you so much, Maureen, because the guy on the street who sold me my Travis Hunter jersey actually took cash app, which I was like crazed about. And I got my Travis Hunter jersey, number 12, and it's stitched. It's a real one. And I got it for $60. And I was ready to pay $189 for that jersey, but I couldn't find it anywhere because it was sold out. Thank you to the Goodmans for being here, spending their evening with us for a little while, and gifting 5 memberships. You guys are freaking like amazing. I love you. I love you. So a little bit more about the perp, because why was he on the street? Like Eric Adams said, not really sure why he was out on the street. Can't really be too sure. But it seems that this suspect, Rivera, had a rap sheet that includes 5 burglary arrests going back to December of 2023, along with a petty larceny collar that same month. And then, of course, we just talked about the grand larceny charge from last month. Did I just kick myself? Oh, no. All right. I thought I kicked myself out, but I didn't. Mostly in Manhattan. His rap sheet is mostly in Manhattan. He was also arrested for assaulting a corrections officer in May inside Bellevue Hospital's psychiatric center, according to sources. And then, of course, last month he was arrested on a grand larceny charge after prosecutors said he stole nearly a $1,500 acrylic bowl from a shop in Tribeca. What he needed with a $1,500 acrylic bowl is beyond me, but there's that. And apparently, according to Eric Adams, he's not really sure why he was out on the street. Court records show that with regard to this arrest last month, with the grand larceny charge, which is felony, right, Scott? Court records show that he pleaded not guilty and was released on bail with non-monetary conditions, also known as cashless bail. It is a thing here in New York. Just let him out. Cashless bail. He also pleaded guilty to burglary and assault charges from 3 separate cases in recent months, for which he did receive jail time. Adams says it's unclear why the suspect was back on the streets and called it a systemic failure. Charges against him are pending as of tonight for 2 murders and possibly an attempted murder. Who knows? We'll see, I guess. I guess that'll remain to be seen. Let's take a look at the most recent story from, let me see, there's one that I wanted to show you. This was the this is CBS, Maurice Dubois, and this one was from the 5 o'clock news this evening. So that presser that we watched was from about 1 p.m., I want to say maybe 2 p.m., and this is from the 5 o'clock news.
Christine Johnson.
I'm Maurice Dubois. We begin here tonight with the deadly stabbing rampage across Manhattan.
2 men are dead, and a woman is fighting for her life after the random attacks. The stabbings, well, they started this morning in Chelsea before moving east to Kips Bay and then up to 42nd Street. We have team coverage. Jen Bisram live at the police station where the suspect is in custody. Let's begin, though, with Lisa Rosner live on the east side where 2 of these attacks happened. Lisa.
Well, Christina, Maurice, the last of these 3 stabbings happened here on 42nd Street near First Avenue. For hours now, investigators have been focused on these cinder blocks behind me under this bridge. This is where it's believed a 36-year-old woman was stabbed and collapsed. She is in critical condition, and it's only a few blocks from here that the suspect was taken into custody. Detectives collect 2 kitchen knives from the corner of 46th Street and First Avenue outside the Turkish consulate. It's the spot where a fatal morning stabbing spree ended as police say Officer Robert Garvey took the 51-year-old suspect into custody.
I just heard a commotion from where I was, stepped outside, heard what people were saying, and reacted.
Police say the suspect first stabbed a 36-year-old construction worker in the abdomen around 8:30 a.m. on West 19th Street near 10th Avenue. That man died at Bellevue. Then 2 hours later, around 10:30, police say the suspect stabbed a 68-year-old man who was fishing on East 30th Street and the FDR Drive. He also died at the hospital. Then just a half hour later, before 11 a.m., a 36-year-old woman was stabbed and is in critical condition. This witness says he didn't see the injured woman, but believed the man had just committed a robbery.
And I saw this is the cab driver. This is the cab driver, Good Samaritan. He thought it was a robbery. And good on CBS for getting an interview with him, or whoever took, maybe somebody else was a pool reporter and sold it to everybody. I don't know, but here, listen to what he's got to say. This is the UN, for those of you who don't know, right here on the right. This big, tall, skinny building.
This homeless guy walking with a purse, and then I saw this guy in the car telling him, stop, drop the bag, stop. I told him to stop. It's not worth it. There's going to be cops up ahead. And of course, he didn't listen. And then all of a sudden, I saw the guys in suit and earphones rushing.
The suspect taken into custody 4 blocks from the
Oh,
location
he
of
saw the guys with earphones. It definitely must have been Secret Service, right, Scott? Welcome to New York City. Welcome to New York. We've been waiting for you. Welcome to New York. Tell me who sings that song. And don't make fun of it, Scott. Because if you diss my girl, we're going to have trouble. All right, listen to what he says about the guys with the things in their ears.
Cops up ahead. And of course, he didn't listen. And then all of a sudden, I saw the guys in suit and earphones rushing.
The suspect taken into custody 4 blocks from the location of the last stabbing on 46th Street.
He didn't resist. The cop pulled his gun, and then he didn't even point to him. He just said stop and then go on the ground, and then the guy just dropped the bag and then went on the ground. I believe the guy is not mentally okay.
We're sorting through additional witness statements and video, but at this time, no words exchanged, no property taken, just attacked and stabbed viciously.
This is where I live. And for 3 people to get...
And all the little ants are marching.
Get to be stabbed out of the blue. It's sad and shocking. More needs to be done to get certain people off the streets, quite frankly.
And we know from police sources the suspect...
I mean, you can even see that resident who lives right near there, how he's trying to be so politically correct. Yeah, there more needs to be done to, get these people off the streets. No, Elizabeth, I think what happened was I think that because it happened right near the UN, there was Secret Service in the area anyway. That's what I think had happened. Because at this point, I don't know that they connected what happened all the way over on the other side. It was another precinct. That was 10th precinct, right, Scott? And I'm not sure what precinct it was all the way over on the east side. And somebody asked a question here that I thought was great. Ann says, not from the area. Is it possible to walk from the west side to the east side in a couple of hours? No, you can do it in far less than that. So where this happened, some reports say it was 8th Avenue and some say it was 10th Avenue, but you're really just going from 10th Avenue to 1st Avenue. I mean, I could Google map it for you, but it wouldn't take a couple of hours at all. Not at all.
Did at least 2 prior interactions with police in relation to mental illness last year, as well as a long list of prior arrests. Right now, the mayor says the woman that was stabbed here is fighting for her life. We're live on the east side. Lisa Rosner, CBS News, New York.
Okay, Lisa, thank you.
And now let's continue our team coverage with Jennifer Bisram with what we're learning about the suspect.
She's live now at the 10th Precinct Station House in Chelsea, where the suspect's being held tonight. Jen.
Hi, Christine and Maurice. We are at the 10th Police Precinct in Chelsea, and this is where police say that 51-year-old suspect is being held. We talked with police a short time ago, and we're told he is currently being interviewed by detectives. All of this after he killed 2 people and left 1 person in a critical condition by stabbing them multiple times in broad daylight.
We are not looking for any other perpetrators at this time.
A stabbing spree unfolded on several Manhattan streets Monday morning, leaving 2 New Yorkers dead and another in critical condition. Police say the 51-year-old suspect, who's now in police custody, has multiple prior arrests and struggles with mental health.
He's a male Hispanic, 51 years old. He appears to be undomiciled. He has 8 prior arrests, last being for a grand larceny October of this year.
Investigators say kitchen knives were used in the unprovoked attacks. The mayor saying they're an example of both the city's criminal justice and mental health systems failing New Yorkers.
There's some real questions that we need to look at on why he was on the street, and he has some severe mental health issues that should have been examined, and that's what we're looking at as part of the investigation.
And again, that 51-year-old suspect is being questioned by detectives right now here at the 10th Precinct in Manhattan. It's still unclear what exact charges he will be facing. We're live in Chelsea. Jennifer Bisram, CBS News, New York.
All right, Jennifer, thank you. And as we learn more about the exact charges the suspect will face, we will continue to keep you updated right here on CBS New York and online at cbsnewyork.com.
So there's that. No, it's not Alicia Keys, Kimmy. Welcome to New York. It's been waiting for you. Welcome to New York. Welcome to New York. Who got it? Melanie Schuyler got it without really saying that it's Taylor Swift. Yeah, let's take a look at his this is what PIX WPIX channel 11, for those of you old school people, remember it as channel 11, says there's new information about the suspect. They say Ramon Rivera, that's his name, 51 years old, arrived in New York City about a decade ago and had several prior arrests in other states. Sources told PIX 11 news reporter Anthony DiLorenzo. Upon arrival in New York City, Rivera was a homeless recidivist commercial burglar, according to law enforcement sources. He was at Rikers from February 19th to October 17th of 2024. So he was just released on October 17th, exactly almost 1 month ago, on charges of burglary in the third degree and assault in the third degree. Rivera pleaded guilty to the charges in August of 2024 and was sentenced to 364 days, but was released after 8 months of time served. He has an active case for burglary from December 2023 and was arraigned after being released from Rikers. This charge is a misdemeanor and is not bail eligible. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office requested his release under supervision. So there's some conflicting reports about the grand larceny charge from last month. On November 18th, that's today, he allegedly stabbed 3 people and is back in custody. Let's take a look at this most recent video from PIX, and then I'm going to, I think, have to listen to an ad for me to be able to play it for you, so I'll just do that. So you don't have to listen to it. All right, here we go. This must have been from, what time is it now? Maybe this was from the 7 o'clock news.
Well, the suspect, we have learned, has multiple prior arrests, not only here, but out of state as well. He was incarcerated and just let out of Rikers a month ago yesterday. And then now this person is accused of going on
I'm just going to move
a murderous rampage through 3 neighborhoods here in Manhattan. And it all started right here behind me, where you see that crime scene unit. Take a look. This is new surveillance video that we obtained this afternoon. In it, you see who police sources confirm as the 51-year-old suspect, changing his clothes on West 19th Street just before 8:30 this morning, carrying a purple child's backpack, which apparently held.
That would have been after the first murder. He's still on 19th Street, walking away from the first murder that he just committed, changing his clothes. Because I think his first outfit there, I know the volume on this, I'm sorry, is a little bit lower than the rest of them, but that's their issue, not mine. Let's take a look and see if we can see any blood on him. Private info. Thank you again. The crazy 100. This just makes me sick. I'm going to go get some cinnamon whiskey over ice, sit on the couch and watch Netflix till I pass out. I wish there was even something that I could recommend for you to watch. That's funny. Netflix, funny. If you have HBO, have you seen Hacks? Hacks is very funny. Also a great, very underrated show. And I don't know where you can find it, but it's called Episodes, and it's with Matt LeBlanc, and he plays a really real D-bag version of himself, and it's hilarious. You need something funny. Thank you, Private Info. Or also very funny on Amazon Prime, Jury Duty, about a guy who thinks he's got on jury duty, but it's really like a candid camera show where everyone else on the jury and in the courthouse is an actor. It's really good, heartwarming, funny. Thank you again for your very, very generous donation. I cannot blame you for wanting to go drink some whiskey and pass out. Thank you. So again, this is the latest PIC story. This was 6:33 p.m.
Surveillance video that we obtained this afternoon. In it, you see who police sources confirm as the 51-year-old suspect, changing his clothes on West 19th Street just before 8:30 this morning, carrying a purple child's backpack, which apparently held the murder weapons. You see the bearded suspect take off his hat. He puts on a new sweatshirt and ultimately puts on gloves. and pulls a large kitchen knife out of that backpack before he goes on his way across the street. Moments later is when police say he struck first near 11th Avenue and West 19th. In a random, unprovoked attack, a construction worker was stabbed multiple times before he stumbled away and collapsed on the sidewalk. A horrified mother pushing a stroller ran into the building to safety as other people came to the victim's aid. The 36-year-old man died a short time later. Then about 2 hours later, near the East River and East 30th Street, a 67-year-old man who was just fishing this morning stabbed to death. Finally, before 11 a.m. near the United Nations, a 36-year-old woman was stabbed repeatedly and is now in critical condition. Witnesses flagged down a nearby cop who arrested the suspect before any more bloodshed.
Monday.
And I looked out the window here, and there's a guy. Well, they moved him by the time she saw the body, and she saw them trying to resuscitate the victim.
And she's fighting for her life. The third victim, the 36-year-old woman, is fighting for her life tonight. Let's all please say prayers. They have not released any of the names pending notification of next of kin. So please put some prayer hands up for this poor 36-year-old woman who was just minding her own business when this psycho, homeless guy with a rap sheet stabbed her many times to the point where she is now fighting for her life.
Stress, and she had a lot of blood, lost a lot of blood.
I just heard a commotion from where I was, stepped outside, heard what people were saying, and reacted.
So a little bit more on this suspect's prior criminal history. We've learned that he served 8 months on Rikers Island for a slew of commercial burglaries and an assault. He was released from Rikers Island on October 17th, and now he is accused of 2 murders and a vicious stabbing with charges pending right now. That's the latest live here in Chelsea. I'm Anthony DiLorenzo, Pix 11 News.
Inside the NFL is all about.
And the prosecutors in Lower Manhattan that are trying Daniel Penny right now want the jury to think a guy like Daniel Penny shouldn't step in and try and at least restrain a guy who comes onto a subway car, makes threats, lunges at people, tells people that if he doesn't get some money or some food, he's going to start killing people. And he doesn't care if he goes back to Rikers, and he doesn't care if he goes to jail. That man was Jordan Neely. 24-year-old Marine Daniel Penny got up and restrained him in a possible sleeper hold until they got to the next station. Another man actually helped hold him down. And that man lied to police. It came out the other day at trial. I know we need to do a recap on what's happening with this trial. But today, the medical examiner is on the stand for cross-examination, and there are some questions about the cause of death of Jordan Neely. So, I think everyone should go down there tomorrow with signs. You have the right to protest outside of 100 Center Street in Manhattan, and you can say, signs. I'm sure you guys can figure out what to put on your signs. But this could have been another Ramon Rivera situation like yesterday. And let's hope and pray that the woman who's fighting for her life does not pass away. Here's where apparently this guy was a resident. It's called the Bellevue Men's Shelter. I want to show you a cover of the New York Post from all the way back in September of 2022. Let's take a look at this, because they've been on notice for this for quite some time. But let me get this out of here. Twitter's not very screen friendly. Hold on. All right, so here's a tweet from, what did I just say? September 2022. The city's Bellevue Men's Shelter at 30th Street and 1st Avenue in Kips Bay has become a tinderbox of newly arrived migrants, unhinged vagrants, and sex offenders that's wreaking havoc on the streets of the once quiet residential neighborhood. That's apparently where this guy was a resident. Border crisis spreads to New York City was the cover of the Post that day, and it was called Helter Shelter, 30th Street facility, a toxic mix of migrants, vagrants, and sex fiends. And that's where apparently this gentleman was being housed. The assailant is in custody. You are correct. They took him alive. Somebody wants to know if he was alive. Hi, Amber. Thanks for joining. He's back in jail now. I don't know. They're going to let him out without bail again because that's what happened last time. He was just released from Rikers less than a month ago, and he graduated from apparently he graduated from commercial burglaries to murder, an attempted murder. Walking around with knives out today. Knives out, you guys. Walked all the way from 19th Street and 10th Avenue to 30th Street on the FDR Drive, right in front of the old water club, where an old man, not an old man, he's 68 years old, an old man, where a man was fishing. He was the second victim of this guy. Thank you. Let's pray for the families and the victims of this terrible attack. And thank you for the update, Melanie. John, a little no relation, tuning in from Australia, all the way down under. It's tomorrow. What's happening in the future, John Little? Tell us. He was released after serving his time. There's conflicting stories, David. There was a story that said that he was arrested for grand larceny last month and that he was released on no cash bail. There was another story that just came out that said that he was released from Rikers on October 17th and had more charges pending that were not bail eligible. So it's unclear right now. It's unclear. I may have to change my title, but thank you very much for pointing that out, as always, as you do. And here's what's happening today in the Daniel Penny trial. Let's go to the chat first and see if you guys have any further questions. Oh, there was something else that I wanted to point out to you that was on the Twitter. But apparently this Bellevue men's shelter is a pretty horrific place. So there's that. Just do your own due diligence on that. The Bellevue men's shelter, they've had a lot of incidents. And not a great place. They want to blame the mental health crisis, I guess. I don't know. But apparently Eric Adams couldn't even answer the question of why he was out on the street. So that's what gives me pause, David Reese. If Eric Adams couldn't tell us at the press conference today why he was out on the street, he said he had questions about why he was out on the street. I don't know that he was actually released after serving his time, because if right after he got out, Daniel Penny murdered a man. David, are you going to come in and you just want to come in and wreak havoc? There's other places where you can go tonight and wreak havoc. I'm trying to keep the havoc to a minimum here. Daniel Penny saved everybody on that subway from a potential situation like this. Okay. I don't know where you live, David. I don't know where you live, and I don't really want to fight with you right now, but let me tell you something. Daniel Penny murdered a man by putting him in a sleeper hold to try and restrain him until the train could get to the next station. If that's the way you feel, go out there with your sign. Go out there with your bad sign. I'm really born under a bad sign. Grow up, David. Grow up. I'm not in the mood for that tonight. I'm just not. You know, you want to come here and you want to just stir the pot. There's other places tonight where you can go do that. Go back to Canton chats tonight and stir the pot over there, because they got a lot of people over there that could use some pot stirring, but not here. Not here. Not in my house. Not in my house. Okay? Because the only thing that's going to happen now, that should happen now, is they should drop these charges against Daniel Penny today. That's exactly what they should be doing after this. Okay? Because nobody is going to step in. You know how many witnesses saw these people getting stabbed and didn't do anything other than call the police? All of them. All of them. What should Daniel Penny have done, David? What should he have done? Waited until he pulled out a knife? Waited until he attacked somebody? How many free hits are you allowed to have before you fear for your life of yourself and others? Do you know what the witnesses testified to at the Daniel Penny trial? That they've been riding the subway for 50 years and they've never been in fear for their life like they were that day when Jordan Neely came on that subway car. There was a woman in a stroller, a woman with a baby in a stroller who thought she was going to die. There were high school kids on that train who thought they were going to die. There is no way out of a subway car. No way out when it's in between stations. That man is a ducking hero, and they should be building a statue in his honor. Okay? Not playing that game tonight. I'm not. Not after two men are not going home tonight because of this guy walking around with knives out. You're in a subway car. You have nowhere to go. What should he have done? Just sat there? 24-year-old Marine who is sworn to serve and protect his country? If my kids were on that subway car, you bet your ass I would want Daniel Penny on that subway car with them. Take it somewhere else. Take it somewhere else tonight. I can give you the name of 4 other channels where you can go stir the pot in Canton. Not here. Not tonight. Not when there's a woman fighting for her life in the hospital because of this psycho. And you know why Daniel Penny couldn't save her? Because he's sitting in a courthouse at 100 Center Street facing 15 years in prison. And I just realized that I sound like Jeanine Pirro right now, who actually I saw in court when I went to the trial that day and saw Mark Betterow in trial. So, take a step back, David Reese. Take a step back, because this is what happens when people don't want to help, when people don't step in to help, because they're afraid that they're going to be arrested and charged with manslaughter. Okay? Jordan Neely had synthetic cannabinoids in his system. Do you know the kind of side effects that synthetic cannabinoids can have? Synthetic marijuana makes people psychotic. He threatened to kill people, David. He threatened to kill people. Let's hear a little bit more about his cause of death before we call Daniel Penny a murderer. Okay, sir? Serenity now. Thank you, Jen Ken, for the 5. New York City has declined and is declining daily. The girl who was stabbed was walking in front of your building today. Oh my God. Oh my God. See? Like, how safe do you feel right now, Jen and Ken? Do you wish that Daniel Penny was walking by? Let's ask Jen, David, if Jen thinks that Daniel Penny's a murderer. I don't want to put you on the spot, Jen, so you don't have to answer that. But she lives in the building where the 3rd victim was stabbed today, who is currently fighting for her life at Weill Cornell Medical Center. Mrs. Goodman says she can't let Mr. Goodman one-up me. Thank you, D. Thanks, D. The Goodmans are in a contest to see who can donate the most. Thank you, Mama G, for thanking me for everything I do, and also for your very generous $50 cash app. You did not have to do that. I appreciate you always so very much, just for thanking me for what I do. And she says, for hugs, just keep doing what you do, babes. You know how I get when I get passionate about something. And Patty, thank you also for your cash app. You guys are amazing, and you listen to me vent, and now I want to listen to you vent. So you tell me what you would like to vent about with regard to this. And Kia, thank you so much for your Venmo. Kia says, look at the case on episode 2 of Worst Ex Ever. Let's see. Look at the case on episode 2 of Worst Ex Ever on Netflix. New York woman held in jail for 7 months on false allegations of law enforcement impersonation from an ex that forcibly forced her to have relations. She lost everything. Thank you, Kia. I'm going to look that up. I'm going to recommend that everyone look it up because, as you know, we're also following the Karen Reed case. It's called Worst Ex Ever. Episode 2, Netflix. Thank you, Kia, for the recommendation and the homework. You guys, we can talk about that next time. And also to Allison for the Venmo, who says, oh, Melanie, if Daniel Penny saw that man walking down the street with knives out, he would have risked his lives to save people. Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, he would. Oh, yes, we both reached for the gun, the gun, the gun, the gun. Oh, yes, we both reached for the gun, or the knife in this case, for the knife. Sarah and Shock and Horror, one of my amazing moderators. Thank you for the 20. Virtual cheers to you. Cheers to you, too. I'm going to need a drink after this. Happy to see you today as well. I saw a clip of a woman at the Buffs game and the entire stadium sang happy birthday to her. Was that from the game you went to? Much love. Yes. Thank you for pointing that out. Let's watch something. Let's just, before we go to the chat before we vent some more about what happened today in New York City, let's take a look at Peggy. Peggy from, I don't know my Instagram password. Why are you making me sign in? What is this? I have no idea what my sign in is. Hold on. Oh, I cleared my cookies. You know why? Because my thing kept crashing. I kept getting like the snap thing, snap. And somebody said, clear your cookies. Now I cleared my cookies and I can't find my, as such passwords. Hold on a second. Yeah, so I was in Boulder at the Buffs game on Saturday, which was amazing because we are now ranked number 16 in the nation. Travis Hunter is going to win the Heisman. That's my prediction. I got the jersey. And Peggy is their oldest fan. Peggy has been a fan of the Buffs for 84 years, and she turned 100, or she's turning 100 this year, and everyone sang happy birthday to her. So in honor of Peggy, I'm going to show you that because it was pretty awesome. She cried, and my daughter and I had to go back to the hotel when she lives in the dorm, but when she came back to my hotel, we had to look up the lore on Peggy because it was amazing how everyone sang happy birthday to Peggy. So let's take a look at that. Hold on. All right, here we go. A little something to brighten the day anyway. So here's Peggy at the game. They put her on the big screen, and the entire stadium, 50,000 people, sang happy birthday to Peggy. Let's listen. I mean, come on. Is that amazing or what? Is that amazing or what? I thought it was pretty amazing. Here she is. I mean, tell me that is not the best view in all of college football. I dare you. I dare you to find a better view than the Flatirons in Boulder. Many of you may have seen concerts like Grateful Dead concerts at Folsom Field. That is Folsom Field. I'm a proud alum of the University of Colorado in Boulder. Go Buffs. I mean, come on now. Something a little heartwarming to finish off the day. Oh, I'll be there, Jen. Will you be there? I'll be there. Friday. Oh, yeah. Wouldn't miss it. Oh, thank you, Venus Blue. Thank you, Venus Blue. I guess I doxed your real name. Buy a coffee with the memo. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I'm going to need a lot of coffee. Was I frozen? Sarah's like, I'm not crying. You're crying. If I'm frozen, refresh your browser. Refresh your browser. And you go, my granny lived to 103 months, was bright as a button. Oh my gosh. Can you believe she's still going to a football game? She's 100 years old. I love that for her. Husbands are the devil. Petty paralegal. I think I just saw like something just pop up that was like a new filing in the Karen Reed case. Not to, no, I was wrong. Okay. Somebody said I was frozen. 2 people said I was frozen. Am I not frozen now? Well, I can see myself talking on my screen over here. Well, I think I can. All right, this should be good. Oh, you cried with her? All right, so how do you guys feel about this? How do you guys feel about Daniel Penny? How do you guys feel about what happened today in Manhattan? Tell me, what say you? Thank you, Jen. Daniel Penny is not a murderer. That's Jen's building. There was a woman stabbed to death outside Jen's building today. She doesn't think Daniel Penny's a murderer. Is it still cordoned off? Is it still a crime scene? Jen, I don't know if you've been following the Karen Reed case with us and the murder of Officer John O'Keefe, but in that case, they didn't even put like a sketch outline of the body, nothing. Didn't rope off the crime scene with any sort of crime scene tape of it because, it was windy. It was windy. There was some snow. They couldn't really secure the crime scene. So what they did was they collected blood in solo cups, and they put the solo cups into a Stop and Shop bag. That's how they collected the evidence of a dead Boston police officer. Didn't secure the scene, didn't rope off the scene, nothing. But Canton PD and the Massachusetts State Police are not the NYPD. Thank you, Abby and Rosie's mom. Why do we not value heroes anymore? Right? Why? That's a great question. Mozzie says disgraceful. Free Daniel Penny. Mozzie's from down under as well. Siobhan, this is infuriating. I feel like we're all being punked with the prosecution of Daniel Penny. Yep. Daniel Penny is not guilty, says Casey. Thank you. Kenny Temple says Daniel is not guilty. Sarah says, absolutely terrifying. I still like to think of Manhattan as a magical place. Broadway is the best, and the food. Yeah, and now it's Christmas time in New York. It's going to be Christmas time soon. I think the tree lighting is December 4th. A big, big blow this year that Saks Fifth Avenue is not going to be doing their Christmas windows, which is heartbreaking because that was always one of my favorite stops to make when I would go through the city near Christmas, to walk down Fifth Avenue, and the Saks Fifth Avenue windows were always a huge, huge draw. Couldn't even get down the sidewalk. It's right across from the tree, and it's they're not doing the Saks Fifth Avenue windows this year. It's a money issue. Coffee Nut, if I were Daniel Penny's attorneys, I'd be on the phone tomorrow calling the DA and go to them like you say. What say you to the DA? We dropped these charges after this just happened. Right. Thank you, Mandy Moo. Daniel Penny stopped a possible event like that. Prayers for the lady that was stabbed. Yep. Erica Olson is outraged. When is the catch and release going to stop? How many innocents have to die? Yep. Canton PD does 200K plus. You mean salaries? Oh yeah, some of those guys, Tim, were making. I think it all came out. All their salaries came out. I think wasn't like Lank or Gallagher. One of those guys made like 350, last year. That must have been Gallagher, right? Isn't he the head guy? The head. Yeah, no joke. But they don't know how to investigate a murder scene in the snow. It's really hard. Ed Wallace came on the show one night. If you guys know who Ed Wallace and Duty Ron, Ed Wallace is the forensics guru. And we were talking about Karen Reed, and I said, well, what would you do if it was a blizzard and it was windy? How would you secure that crime scene? How do you go through the snow? You don't go get a leaf blower? You don't tell Sergeant Good to shoot home and get his leaf blower and then shoot back and then start blowing the snow around? He's like, no, you sift the snow. You secure the scene with a tent. There are tents that are made for this. He was horrified at the way the crime scene was handled in Canton. You know, and you see people out there and the twidiots. What were they supposed to do? It was windy. It was snowing. It was a blizzard. It was really hard. It was really hard. Pro Hawk Kelly Real says I'm one of the best. Thank you. Danielle, one of your kids went to your alma mater. About three of the five. So we have a lot of buffs in this family. I mean, you know, you're taking your kids on college tours and, you know, the first place you go is what they say is the best college town in the country. They say Amherst, Massachusetts, or Amherst is the best college town in the country. So I remember when my oldest was looking at colleges and I said, all right, we're going to go to Amherst. We're going to go to Amherst and we're going to see what's going on there. We're going to look at Amherst. We'll look at UMass. We'll look at Hampshire College. And, you know, Amherst is like cool. I mean, it's like a one-horse town, a couple of bars, you know. And they said, okay, this is what they call the number one college town. This was a while ago. They said, now we're going to go to Boulder. And you tell me what you think the better college town is. Everybody loves Ed Wallace. Yes, beautiful messy. They're called heat lamps, right? Heat lamps, sifting snow. Gallery goes MSP, not Canton. Yes. Thank you. But didn't he make something like Tree Fitty? Liz F says this subway case reminds me of Bernie Getz. I'm showing my age again. Yeah, that was an old one. Bernie Getz, that was a big case. No, I don't think we have the Good Samaritan law here, Kimmy. No duty to help. He's got an affirmative defense of self-defense. He's saying that he was in fear for the life of not only his own life, but his and others. So the question is, did he use reasonable force? Would a reasonable person in that situation have been in fear for their life? And if they were in fear for their life, then you can use deadly force. There's a lot of little gray areas here. There are a lot of people out there screaming, "Damn, Penny is a murderer." So, yeah, there's that. And Kiki agreed. When a cop is down here in Massachusetts, cops from all over arrived at the scene, not in the Officer John O'Keefe case. Nope. They didn't show up at the hospital, right? Same thing. New York, man down. That's it. I mean, not like it becomes more important than any other homicide, but you can pretty much bet your ass they're going to dot their I's and cross their T's. You know what I'm saying? Scott says, what you have to understand about Canton PD salaries are the big ones are paid for by money from Foxborough and other companies wanting police on their time off. It's called paid detail. There you go. Scott coming in with the deets. Casey bought me a matcha latte and says, because we all need a matcha latte and a hug. Thank you, Casey. You're a sweetheart. Zoomass. Yes, you do call it Zoomass, don't you? Knowing your bits from your bites. You know your bits from your bites? Yeah, proud Zoomass 2024, Mom. And not to diss Amherst at all in any way, shape, or form. It's an amazing school, amazing campus. It's just like Boulder's pretty cool too. And also, it's like you get to go to a different part of the country, meet different kinds of people. Chloe Albert's Revenge. Saks is still doing the window decor. They aren't doing the light show. Oh, well, then the Post had it wrong. Maybe they changed it up because there was some uproar. Oh, thank you, Amherst. Oh, Amherst. Great pronunciation of Amherst. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, Kat. Guess I have to go to reply to find out what's going on. What's going on with what? What do you want to know? What's going on with what? I'm sure people in the chat can help you. Do not see. Sherilyn, I would have loved to have you go on college tours with me. I've done it a lot. Done a lot of college tours. Some guy with cancer. Again, thank you for your 5. And I am so sorry about your cancer. I hope you're doing okay. If I was cynical, I'd think Alvin Bragg isn't in favor of self-defense. What medical examiner doesn't follow autopsy protocol when you could watch social media? Yeah. Ruh-roh. Boulder is too hard to deal with. Eugene is simple, beautiful, and you can sit in the same booth Belushi did at the student union. Yeah, Eugene's supposed to be a beautiful place too. It's just harder to get to, depending on where you live, you know? Depending on where you're coming from. Yes, exactly, KPT. Menacing is a crime, plus the threats of death, yes. And Scott will tell you that. Because people in the chat were saying about Daniel Penny, well, Jordan Neely didn't touch anyone. He didn't, he didn't actually touch anyone. He didn't hit anyone. You're not allowed to use deadly force. No, you can. Threats are enough. Menacing is a crime. Yes, you are 100% correct. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I am pretty sure, John Whelan, that Penny will probably have a medical expert to rebut the medical examiner for the city of New York. I think it's going to be a battle of the experts. So yes, I think they are going to have their own expert who is going to opine on the cause of death. Thank you, E, for giving a summary. We're following a stabbing spree that happened this morning in Manhattan by a homeless person who may or may not have just been released from Rikers, or may not have been released on cashless bail for grand larceny for stealing a $1,500 acrylic bowl in Tribeca. And he went out on a rampage this morning on a random attack with 2 giant butcher knives, stabbed a construction worker in Chelsea, knives out, walked over to the east side, stabbed a 68-year-old man who was fishing by the old water club in the FDR Drive, and then walked a couple blocks over to the UN where he stabbed a woman who's now fighting for her life in front of Jen's building. And Jen is in the chat. Kat, you came in late, honey. We're already an hour and a half in. So we covered that for the first hour and 15. And then we segued over into the difference between the NYPD and the Canton PD. There's always a rhyme to my reason. Or there's always a reason to my rhyme. So don't be confused. Just when you go back, you can rewind now and you could start from the beginning. But we did cover that for the first hour and 15. Thank you, Pierre, for the 5. Do you think these prosecutions of heroes is to dissuade people from getting involved? Well, here's an interesting thing. So I think it was on one of the shows I did on Daniel Penny. We compared that to a case that happened the same week that Daniel Penny was arraigned on murder charges. There was a case in Brooklyn that was dropped. And the case in Brooklyn, different DA in Brooklyn, involved a man who was on a subway with his girlfriend, and they were attacked by another man. This man pulled out a knife and stabbed the other man to death, that he says, and there's video of it, that this guy jumped on him. And so he pulls out a knife and he stabbed the guy to death. Those charges were dropped. Do I think maybe it's an Alvin Bragg thing? Maybe. Do I think that that is a slippery slope to prosecute a guy like Daniel Penny for stepping in to help because it's going to dissuade other people from? Yeah, I think it's a problem. I think it's an Alvin Bragg thing, not necessarily. What do you guys think? Yeah, it's a political thing. They're trying to make it about race. They're trying to say that if Jordan Neely was white and Daniel Penny was black, they wouldn't have prosecuted or something like that. I don't even know what like the argument is. Thank you, some guy with cancer. We already looked at that one. Mama Shea says, I need to start college touring with my oldest help. Oh my God, I don't even know what to tell you. Every kid finds their place, Every kid finds their place. Every kid is different. All your kids are different. The thing is, here's what I say. Don't go visit until they get in. Because if you get your heart set on something and then they don't get in, you got issues. Like my daughter, who right now is in Colorado, really wanted to go to Penn State. Really, really, really wanted to go to Penn State. And she's wicked smart. She had wicked good SATs and wicked good grades. But the forensics school that she applied to takes a very, very, very small number of students every year. And so I'm like, all right. We had been to Boulder several times, just throughout the years. So she already knew what Boulder was like. And she got waitlisted at Penn State. And so I was happy that we didn't go to Penn State, because what if she had her heart set on it? And then, of course, right after she commits to Boulder, she gets into Penn State. And I was like, okay, do you want to go now and look at Penn State? And she's like, no, I'm done. I made up my mind. So that's the thing. It's hard to tour until you really know what your options are, I think. Jessica Gates, thank you so much for your super sticker. And look, Penn State, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. No shade to anybody here who's a Penn State alum or who has kids at Penn State. Oh, hello, Kelly Reed. Hello, Kelly Reed, coming into the house. How are you? Pierce says, okay, good. I'm glad you responded. I think it's political. And I think that if we are always relying on our government to intercede, we will allow chaos. And you want to defund the police? The whole thing is ridiculous. Right? Lorby 823, I'm so tired of the race card. It actually hurts those that are really being prejudiced. White, black, pink, purple. Assault is assault, right? Right. And there was a racial mix of passengers on the train. He was protecting all of them, in my opinion. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, really? New York Post just sent the alert. She didn't make it. Hold on. Oh, I didn't want to cry. You're crying. Yeah, they just updated it. Well, guys, our prayers did not work. The Post has changed their title. Knife wielding maniac goes on unprovoked New York City stabbing spree, leaving one woman and 2 men dead. I'm sure I got the alert too. It just didn't pop up on my phone because it's on Do Not Disturb. Oh, they're going to strike me for that blood picture. Probably at the end. Oh, here. Third victim. Wait, where to go? Stop. I don't like the Post pop-ups. Third victim of knife wielding lunatic. Okay, that we don't need. Dies as attacker confesses to grisly New York City stabbing spree. Okay, well, thank you, Diamonds and Doggies and Lisbeth, for pointing it out to me in the chat that I actually saw, that I could pull it up for you. And I guess he confessed as well. So let's see what we have here. The third victim of the knife-wielding maniac who left a bloody trail across Manhattan in a broad daylight stabbing spree Monday, that's today, has died of her injuries as the brute confessed to the random killings, sources said. The 36-year-old woman, the alleged third and final victim of 51-year-old Ramon Rivera, succumbed to her injuries in the hospital Monday evening, sources told the Post. Here's the suspect who has since confessed. Here's a better map than the one I had earlier for the thumbnail. Here's where the first attack occurred. Oh, come on, man. West 19th and 8th Avenue. That is where the 36-year-old construction worker who was working on a construction site was stabbed to death. The perp then made his way by foot all the way over to the east side by the old water club at East 30th and FDR Promenade here in picture number 2, where he stabbed to death a 68-year-old man who was fishing in the East River. Then walked 12 blocks up to East 42nd and 1st Avenue, right in front of the building of Jen, who's in the chat, where he stabbed a 36-year-old woman who has just died from her injuries at Weill Cornell. Then he walked 4 blocks to 46th Street, and that's where he was arrested near the UN, apparently maybe by Secret Service, because the cab driver who followed him because he thought it was a robbery said that there were guys with things in their ears taking him down. This is what happens when Daniel Penny is not around. Guy was walking knives out from 10th Avenue to 1st Avenue. They've got video of him changing his clothes. Here he is, changing his clothes. Here's surveillance footage. I don't see the knives. I think they're in the backpack. I think they're in the purple backpack. There's the weapons of choice. Here we are. 2 men and a woman are not going home tonight, and Daniel Penny is on trial for manslaughter. And this guy has an extensive criminal record and reported mental health ailments. Says he allegedly confessed to the unprovoked stabbings that began in the morning and crossed the full width of the borough. May they rest in peace. Yeah, so is it the knife or the person that killed 3 people today? I don't think they were machetes. They were kitchen knives, actually. Sure, they were kitchen knives. They showed them. We saw pictures of them. Yeah. Yeah, Genty. Clearly they want people to wait until someone dies and then they can step in. That's what they say. That's what they say. Yep. Thank you, Halos and Horns. Daniel Penny is not a murderer. They want us demoralized. Don't let them win. I think people should be demanding that the charges be dropped after what happened today. It's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. What say you before we wrap this for the evening? And here's something else I would like to know what you guys would want to cover starting tomorrow. We can jump into, because I was traveling, I couldn't start covering a trial last week and then leave you guys hanging. We can jump into this crazy cult trial in Georgia, Chloe Driver, which is insane. I didn't want to cover it because it's the murder of a toddler, and I did not want to cover it, but I think I can cover it without focusing so much on that aspect of it. There's polygamy, there's mental health, there's some crazy guy who testified the other day who I have some background information on that guy. It's crazy. So that's the cult trial of Chloe Driver. The other is Laken Riley, and I think that everyone else is kind of covering Laken Riley, and I don't know if anybody's covering Chloe Driver. So if you guys want to jump into it, we may be kind of at the tail end of it, but we could try to just jump into that live tomorrow. And then I know many of you have already been watching it, so you can kind of catch us up. So if you'd like to do that, I'm down for doing that tomorrow. I just don't know where they let off today or how many more days are left. So if you guys are watching Chloe Driver's trial out of Georgia, thank you, What the Duckling, let me know, and we'll start doing it tomorrow. Just I'm not on Twitter, so share it out there so people come watch with us. All right, you guys, let's do it. Yeah, it is wild. I mean, I was on the airplane yesterday and I was listening to that guy's testimony. That guy, what's his name? Stillers? Oh, the guy who drinks his own urine? What the duck? What a pompous ass that guy is. And by the way, he's a crazy stalker. That guy has a huge rap sheet because he showed up in orange, and I'm like, what is that guy in for? Spillers or something. His name is Jeff Spillers. It's insane. So if you guys want to start doing that, we'll do it in the morning. I don't know what time. Tell me what time it starts tomorrow. Anybody knows? Yeah, does anybody know if Z is going to be testifying? I know now I'm invested in this, Lindsay. I started watching it on the plane because the TVs were broken on Delta, which was fine because they have free Wi-Fi. And so I started watching some of that testimony, and it was insane. Yeah, exactly. Gross. He says it has amazing health benefits. He's like a nut job. And this is their star witness? Okay. Yeah, Jason Spillers, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there's warrants. There was warrants out for that guy all over the place, many different states. And he lived in his van. He slept in his van in somebody's driveway in Connecticut. Like, he's crazy. Yeah, so let's do that starting tomorrow. So watch for that stream. You're going to want to hit the subscribe button. It's free. You're going to want to hit the bell so you'll know when I go live. We're going to start watching it tomorrow. It's a woman who had a husband, and he also had 2 other wives. And you know what? It's like they're part of this, like, what is it called? The 12 tribes. Anybody know about the Yellow Deli? It's that cult. And they were like a member, and she tragically, horrifically took the life of her 13-month-old child, and also tried to kill herself. And she's on trial for murder, but she's going for not guilty by reason of insanity in Georgia. It's a Georgia case. Oh, thanks, Miss Jessica. I missed you too. I had to unplug from YouTube for the weekend. So I was in Colorado with my daughter. We went to the Buffs game. It was amazing. And, sometimes you got to just you got to unplug from YouTube for the weekend. And what did I miss, you guys? What did I miss while I was gone? Did I miss anything? Yeah, the Yellow Deli. Look it up, Crystal. Google it. Yeah, Delta has free Wi-Fi. If you're a Sky Miles member, which it's free, just become a Sky Miles member. But I think also they may have given it out because the TVs weren't working. And it's 3 hours and 47 minutes. Lindsay, I need to hear your take about his explanation that population isn't real. And the explanation was that if you go to New York City and count everybody, it's not the same number that they report about. Are you talking about that guy, Jeff? Debbie, one of Z's ex-partners testified today. She's got a daughter by him too. Her story was awful, but she got away finally. Her mother testified today too, right? Yellow Deli because they drink. No, look it up. There's a Yellow Deli in Boulder, and everyone who goes there comes back and says, "Oh my gosh, have you guys been to the Yellow Deli? It's so nice. They're so nice there. They're so nice. The people are so nice." It's a cult. They're trying to recruit you. They're trying to recruit you. The first wife got away. I'm going to have to catch up on the testimony. All right, so make sure, the 12 tribes it's called, right? And Pierre's like, literally, I just watched mushroom foraging videos. Yeah. They're like an offshoot, I think, of the 12 tribes. It's interesting. It's got a cult aspect to it. It's got a polygamy aspect to it. It's got some crazy players. It's got, this girl was very, very young when she got with this guy. Whether she's going to be found not guilty by reason of insanity, I don't know. But it just seems to me like the witnesses are really interesting. And a lot of people wrote to me and asked me to cover it. The other thing that I've been asked to cover, which I am going to cover, but I really need to get a little bit more brought up to speed on it, because one of my viewers sent me an email and said that this case, she knows the victim in this case, and it's her neighbor. And it's the case of Suzanne Simpson from San Antonio. And she said, "Melanie, I don't trust anybody to tell this story with compassion the way that you could tell this story of Suzanne Simpson. She was my friend. She lived down the street from me. And so I want to do it justice and just, get more familiar with it before I do a show on that." So there's that. Dr. Barry said 16. 12 tribes. Long history with the Grateful Dead is wild. Do not go on the bus, even though it looks really cool. That's crazy. Yes, I will. I'm going to cover Suzanne Simpson. Okay, Defense Diaries is covering it. We all cover a lot of cases. That's cool. But I think if you want to do live trial, let's just jump into this Chloe Driver thing tomorrow, so you have a place to watch it, and let's do it. All right. Thank you to the moderators tonight. This is not an easy case to cover because what happened today is horrific. What happened today in New York City. And while we were live, the third victim sadly passed away. So this is horrific. May they all rest in peace. May the guy who did this rot in hell. And May Alvin Bragg grow a pair and drop the charges against Daniel Penny tomorrow, because this is outrageous. This is outrageous. We are outraged. Making my face as subtitles. I had not heard about this. Well, it just happened early this morning, and I've been covering it all day, and I had to take a kid to the doctor. So I was running around, and I didn't want to shoehorn this in. I wanted to spend the time with you and talk about it, which kind of worked out, because while all of that was going on, they did release the name of the perp, and we got a little more info about him and his rap sheet, and the fact that at the very end of the stream, the third victim succumbed to her injuries, and the perp apparently has confessed. So there's that. I know. I can't. Why? That's harder for me to cover, I think, right now, having kids in college of Lake and Riley, than to cover an infant case. So we're going to do the infant case, but we're not going to watch the horrific testimony that's already happened about, the brutality of the crime and stuff. I'm going to try and do it from a more sensitive angle, I think. So thank you for that. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you guys for keeping it drama free today, except for David, who had to come in here and stir the pot. But thanks, mods. Thank you, viewers, replay viewers, everyone, for your generosity, for your kindness, for your compassion, for your sense of justice, for your wanting to fight for people who deserve to be treated equally by the system, for, all of the things and stuff, and the United States Constitution that we believe in here, and that I believe in here, and that you believe in here. All right. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. It's not hard, really. I promise you, it is so not hard. I know you can do it. See you in the morning when we'll start on the Chloe Driver trial. Whatever time that happens, I'll make a thumbnail, and we'll start tomorrow's day 6. Tomorrow is day 6 of Chloe Driver. We'll do it live, and then we'll catch up here and there when we can. All right, my friends. Peace. Prayers up for the families of the 3 victims whose names have not yet been released in today's random acts of violence, stabbings by 51-year-old homeless psychopath Ramon Rivera. Good night, everyone.